Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have with us Ron Coombs and Brian Ray from Providence Gold Mines, which can be traded as PHD on the TSX Venture and as PRRVF on the US OTC. Thank you, Ron and Brian, for being here with us today and being able to discuss this important news item that's come out. The old timers stopped mining this project in 1916. They left behind a stockpile, and today you announced news that there were assay results of up to over 250 grams per ton from the Providence mine stockpile. So, Brian and Ron, could you give us an update on what you're seeing here and what this means for Providence Gold shareholders who have held the stock for a long time, and for potential new investors to the story?
Jeb, it's Ron here. Brian will talk in a couple of minutes about the dynamics of what we have to do next, etc. But we're delighted with today's news. This is it does a couple of things here. It definitely supports the historical grades that were recorded as being mined previously, and it as well, though, gives us an opportunity with these kinds of grades sitting within the stockpile and the size of it. The size potential is significant. We believe that the stockpile represents all of the previously mined levels, stopes within the Providence gold mine, which historically mines very significant grades, and as well over a couple of 100,000 ounces of recorded historical production. And with that, I have to always caution the listeners that it's historical in nature and therefore it doesn't comply with 43-101. But when you're in the underground, and you look at the miles of underground development and the stopes and the grades that we obtained in our trenching of actually within the underground sampling protocol that we did when we first picked the property up, leads us to believe that at this particular moment, this is an important milestone for us, because this pile of material looks very significant, and as you can see by today's sampling assays that we've gotten back, very significant grades still exist within that pile.
Brian Ray, you're a professional geologist with a master's degree in geology. You are quoted as saying that these assay results are extremely encouraging and advances the evaluation of the potential within the stockpile. Could you explain what you're seeing with the stockpile and what your overall opinion of the project is now that you've been working on it for several weeks or months now?
Yeah, actually, the mine itself is with a lot of good historical reports, and it's extremely high-grade orogenic deposit. And I can tell that within the material that we have on the surface right now, we are finding like 8 ounces material. Very next to it, like a few meters away, 90 grams per ton. And I'm very happy to see these numbers. They are processed material, crushed material, and we will be able to get the gold out of it very easily. We have all of the resources we need, and we have kind of a lot of work ahead to actually complete the vertical profile and get a proper evaluation and see how many ounces we have really easily accessible.
So, Ron, what are the next steps for Providence now that you're getting a better sense of the higher grade of the stockpile? And there's so much here to do on this project, especially as you get underground here. So if you could kind of tell us what your next steps are.
Yeah, well, here's some food for thought. Here's my thought process, and it's just a thought, it's just only my opinion. But the pile that's sitting there right now, the bottom of the pile, I believe, has good potential to represent the first couple of stopes, which were very significant producers, like very significant. So it leads us to believe that what we need to do next is either auger drill. First of all, determine the profile of the depth, because it's the material sitting, they filled up a ravine. So what we need to do now is figure out the profile. So I believe that Brian is looking at penetrating radar to give us a profile. And then the next step will be to somehow auger drill or drill to that profile depth, and then once again sample those samples on 1 meter intervals. And what that'll do is that'll give us a statistical whereabouts as to probably what we have with regards to the stockpile itself on its potential return, which incidentally, most exploration companies, it takes 3 to 5 years on a hard rock project to actually find out what you've got. So to be stuck here with this stockpile, it's just turned out to be an incredible potential bonus here for a junior company. The hard rock itself is still looks better than ever. We're still evaluating the short holes that we drilled, and there'll probably, I suspect, be another press release out in the near future with regards to how that's progressing. But for this moment right now, our real focus is the stockpile, because it obviously offers us some potential cash flow in the immediate future if the rest of the results continue to be as successful as this latest tranche of sampling has provided us.
Brian, in the press release, it said that the historical mining recovery methods in 1916 were poor compared to today's mining practices. So for people who are not really experienced miners or geologists, what's that mean?
So historically, they were crushing the material taken from the mine with a stump mill, and after that, they were processing it through a fluid box. This is a clear gravity methodology of extracting the gold. And today's practices, we have a variety of methods that we can get a much higher percentage. With gravity, as the old timers, you cannot get more than 20% of the gold, and all the rest of it sits there and actually proves that this material came from the mine. So we have a real proof that the mine contains really high-grade gold mineralization.
Wow, this is very interesting and a very exciting development that's happening right now in California. Ron, before I let you go, and I know you're very busy with this news item, please highlight to my followers and listeners the permitting situation in California. A lot of people are unsure, with the government in California. Can it support this mining operation to come back into production?
Well, I spent 20 years evaluating projects all across Canada, from Newfoundland to British Columbia to the Yukon. And I left Canada because of the political uncertainty with regards to permitting. California, as far as I'm concerned, the permitting process is no different than Arizona, Nevada, many of the other states. California got a black eye because of moratorium they put on cyanide. And yes, it's like any other state or province or anywhere in the world. You don't want to mine in somebody's backyard if they don't want you. So the first and foremost important issues when you are thinking about an exploration project is the community first at large. Do they want you there? Yeah, political stability, the rules and regulations, and all of those issues we have evaluated, and we feel very happy and extremely delighted to be working in the Tuolumne County District. It's a pro-mining district, it's a pro-resource district, and as well, the rules and regulations are very similar to what they are here in Canada, except I believe it got a little bit more political stability in that, the federal and state government in the United States of America tend to work in a more homogeneous manner than they do in the U.S. Now, what's really important about this property, and I want to point this out, is that there's a big difference between BLM or forestry lands and patented claims. Patented claims basically give you land ownership, and as well, this is a past producer. So we're expecting, because this is all on private lands, a much easier process as far as the permitting goes with the local governments, because it's not state ground. This is private land.
Well, Ron, this has been a great update. News today, gold assay results coming from the stockpile. Over 250 grams per ton were found within the stockpile. And there seems to be a lot more news coming down the pike here, a lot more potential here. So if you need more information, you can go to providencegold.com. You can also call 604-724-2369. The symbol is PHD on the TSX Venture and PRRVF on the OTC. Is there anything else that you'd like to conclude with before we end the interview?
Yeah, there's just one more item of importance, because, we didn't talk about, although you sort of touched on permitting, we didn't touch on EPA issues. That's environmental potential issues. And the interesting thing about this project, for the most part, it's gold. There's iron present with the gold, but the arsenopyrite and pyrite is so disseminated and so it's almost non-existent. So this is a very interesting project in that, and the calcium carbonate is running at such levels that there's no ARD issues. The water quality in this project, now I have to warn everybody, it's a sampling that we did as a company, but we sent it to a very prominent lab to evaluate. No water quality issues that we could see. Now we still have to do further work on that. We have met with Sacramento Water Permitting Board to discuss those matters, and we actually don't see any potential issues from anything that we've reviewed so far to date. So we're pretty excited.
Well, this means that the stockpile could mean a much closer, nearer term production, cash flowing, and to advance the rest of the project. So thank you, Ron Coombs, CEO, and Brian Ray, who's the qualified head of exploration at Providence Gold, for being on the program today.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, I look forward to giving you further updates.